Today's project is a brand new paper sculpture. We haven't done one of these in quite some time, and I'm excited about it because to me, well, it's one of those pieces that because we're putting into an actual shadow box, its longevity kind of maybe surpasses some of the projects that maybe aren't as protected, so to speak. Wonderful little project for your home, or maybe a little housewarming gift for somebody. And of course, depending on the colors that you choose for your project, this could be a nice piece of decor in your own home for any season. The colors that were chosen for this project, to me, are a little, they're kind of reminiscent of fall, actually. But they could work for, pretty much any time of the year based on your home decor. This fits mine perfectly because my house is very earthy, so I'm sure it'll find a pretty permanent home. But anyway, enough jibber jabber. Let's just dive right in here. And what I'm going to do is we're going to start off by just doing some paper piecings, some simple things just to kind of get our feet wet and get going here. So we've got a caption here, the word sweet. And I did ink the edges of this as well as this, and I ran this through an embossing machine with the Tiny Dot embossing folder. It's a Tim Holtz Sizzix embossing folder. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue this to the little shadow layer. So we're going to start by just getting some glue on the entire caption here. Go easy and maybe try to stay away from the outer perimeter here so that we don't get any glue shooting out onto our little shadow piece. And you may want to maybe do this in sections instead of trying to do it all in one fell swoop like I am. I'm kind of breaking the law here and being crazy, but that worked out nicely. Okay, so we're going to end up actually putting some foam squares on the back of this, and we're going to pop dot this onto the final project here in just a moment. So that looks really nice. We'll put that off to the side, and I'm going to go through these pieces here. Okay, these are the main little leaves that are going to surround the circle that creates the little natural frame for our caption. And as you can see, all I've done was just taken these. They have little score marks in the center of each of these petals. You just want to take the tips and just pinch them to give them some dimension. Simple as that. Go all the way around all of these, get them pinched. I also ink them with a nice blue-green ink just to kind of make them pop a little bit more. Okay, so I already did all these. Make sure you do all of them. And you'll also notice that there's a little numbering system on this. One of them I don't think has anything on it, but the other ones have have two little hash marks, and then there's one with 3 hash marks. Actually, I think that one does have a 1, and this is my 2. Okay, so those are going to be important when we go to put these on, but go ahead and just get these prepped by creasing and just pinching the tips. Okay, we're going to put some flowers together now. Real simple little flowers. There is one little flower like this, just real tiny, okay? And it's got a little 1 cut into it, just a single hash mark there. And then you're going to find the little stamen piece that has a little 1 cut into it as well. Okay, and then all we're going to do is we're going to kind of fold these little stamens up. I'm just going to kind of roll them between my fingers like so, just to kind of lift them up so they're not flat. Okay, just like that. And then with this little flower here, I'm going to grab a pretty thin dowel, and we're just going to curl these petals up, just slightly. Curl them up so that it's not a flat flower. Okay. And then after I curl them, depending on how flat or not flat they are, I may just kind of roll it between my fingers to give it a little bit more volume, so to speak. Okay. I'll just put that down on my surface, and just a tiny little drop of glue right in the center. Take our little stamen piece, drop it right in the center of our little flower, and then I'm just going to use a dowel so they don't crush the whole flower, and just press that down into place. Okay, and we'll finish this off with a little pearl or rhinestone in the center just to make it look even nicer. Okay, and this flower is done. Put that off to the side with the rest of the stuff that's complete. Okay, and we're going to move on to this little guy here. Okay, and you'll notice that this one as well has a little numbering system. It's 4 hash marks in the shape of a square. Okay, and we're going to take these petals and we're going to curl them up as well. Now, I did ink a lot of the stuff on here, so we have a new blog post on inking, and you can find that under the craft tips section, where I show some inking demonstrations. Okay, here's the stamen piece. We're going to do the same thing we did with the last one and just kind of curl it, and I'm just kind of rotating it in between my fingers to lift those stamen up. Basically, essentially, all I'm doing is just folding these up. You can fold them up one at a time if you'd like, and that's fine too. Or if you can figure it out, just kind of put them between your 3 fingers and roll it around to fold them up. Okay, so you can do it that way too. And then, just like we did with the first flower, we're going to put a little dot of glue right in the center, grab one of these stamen pieces, pop it right in the middle. I'm going to use my dowel to position and push it down. Okay, and then this other stamen piece is going to go inside of the first stamen piece, but we're going to offset it a little bit so that they're not right on top of each other, and it kind of creates more volume, and you need to kind of stagger it a little bit. Okay, so there we go. And once that's fully set, we can kind of fluff that up a little bit. Now also, you're going to look for this one here. Which one is it? Okay, so there's 2 pieces that are kind of tiny like this. Okay, you're going to grab the one that is the smaller of the 2. Okay, so this one's smaller. This is where we're going to put this flower. We're going to glue this flower right onto this guy here. And again, just like we did before with the leaves, you're just going to pinch the tips of these to give them a little bit of dimension. Okay, so we can just throw a little dot of glue right there in that little circular, mostly circular little section. And then we're going to pop that right in the center and just press that down. Now we're going to wait for all of this to dry and set, and then again I'm going to take these little stamens and lift them back up, because pressing this down onto this piece is really flattening out those stamens, and that's okay. We'll fix that once everything is fully dried. Okay, but we can put that off to the side, and now we can take a look at the next largest flower, which is this guy here. Okay. We've got 2 stamen pieces and 1 main flower, and this is the leaf portion that corresponds to this one. Okay, this flower has a number 2 on it, and these stamens also have a number 2 on it. It's a Roman numeral 2. Okay, so with these petals here, we're just going to use a nice thin dowel to kind of train these. So I'm putting the petal between my finger and the dowel, starting at the base of the petal, kind of folding it up so it's vertical, and then just running the dowel right through it. And that essentially curls the tip of the end of the petal upward, just like that. Okay, so you can take a little dot of glue and glue that right to our little leaf section. And then we're going to put our stamens in place. And kind of like we did before, all you want to do is just kind of bend these up. And I'm just bending them and kind of twirling them between my fingers. You can bend each one up individually if you'd like, or if this little process that I'm doing doesn't make any sense, that's okay. So just get them up as high as you can. They'll probably flatten out a little bit, and that's okay. So throw a little dot of glue right there in the center, and pop your little stamen right there. Use a dowel, or you can use your finger if you want to get it nice and centered. Okay, grab the other little stamen piece that's got the number 2 on it and bring those stamen up. And there we go. Now they're upright now, so just flat. Throw a tiny little dot of glue in the center. And just pop that in there. Again, you want to stagger it so that they're not fighting and they're kind of offset. And just press that down, and there you have another beautiful little flower. Again, I'm going to throw something in the center of that just to add a little bling. So that flower's done. That just leaves our last flower. This is the largest flower, one of the focal points, so to speak. And this is the little base that it's going to go on. And again, just like everything else, you're going to take and pinch the leaves here. Okay, and we're going to start off with this big piece here. Everything essentially is going to be curled up towards you. So we're going to go like this, just like we did with the last one. I'm putting the petal between the dowel and my finger, and I'm kind of lifting it up so it's upright, and then I'm running the dowel through to train the paper. And this, this flower I also ran through the Tiny Dot embossing folder. Okay, so there you have it. Now it's nice and trained. And we're going to go to the next layer here. So this is the largest layer. This one's a little bit smaller. And we're going to do the same thing. We can maybe curl this one a little bit more too. So if you kind of curl it in more, it will train it a little bit more and make it look a little bit different. There we go. Okay, and just like we did that first flower, just throw a little bit of glue in the center, maybe a little bit more since this one's a little larger, and pop this one in place and offset it. You can see what I mean by offset. We're taking this petal here and placing it in between the two other petals so that they're not on top of each other. Kind of makes it look more full. And now I'm just kind of folding these in a little bit to create a little bit of separation between these petals. That also gives it a more full sort of look. There you go. Okay, next we got this little piece here, and I'm going to grab a smaller dowel and just kind of very gently train these because it is kind of a really thin piece. You don't want to rip it. Okay. All right, now this one we're not going to stagger. We're not going to offset it. We're going to pop it in the center here. And each one of these little circular ends, you want them to match up with one of the petals from the previous layer, like so. Okay, and of course, give that a second or two to take hold. And then you can kind of bring these in a little bit and again, create some more separation between the two layers to make it look more full. And you know, right now, we'll wait until this is completely in place, and then we can always finesse it a little bit more. All right, so here we have the next layer, and essentially the same thing. I'm going to take this one and curl it. I'm not even going to train it through. I'm going to just take it right at the tip of the petal and just curl it like you're curling your hair. Okay. Okay, and there we go. And that's going to go right in the center here. This one is going to get, yeah, we're going to offset this one a little bit. And just pop that right in the center. Oops, there we go. I'll grab my dowel, help me position that a little bit better. Now it's not totally possible to offset this because I think the number of sides isn't conducive to that, but that's okay. That still looks good. All right, and then finally, for this flower, we've got this funky looking piece here. And what you're gonna wanna do, there's no score lines through the middle because that would tear it in half. But what you wanna do is fold this in half so that these two ends meet up and just fold it, get it nice and flat for a second. If you need to use like a bone folder or some kind of a tool to really help kind of flatten it out, you're welcome to do that. And all we're going to do with this piece is we're just going to kind of wrap it around itself. Okay, and these are going to be the little stamen pieces here. Okay, so all I'm doing is just kind of rolling it onto itself. And before we do that, it'd be helpful to just right below where the stamens actually start, just put a little thin, very thin line of glue all the way down so that it kind of grips to itself. Okay, and again, just kind of roll it onto itself. And if you need to kind of adjust it a little bit as you go, because it's kind of wanting to pull away from itself, feel free to do that. And also definitely use your table to help you with that upward force. Okay, so I'm literally just kind of just rolling it along on top of itself. And when we get to the end, I'm going to roll this up nice and tight, and then when we get to the end, I'm going to throw a little extra glue here so it really holds, especially right at that very end. Okay, just keep on rolling it. Try to keep it nice and straight, just like that. And then hold that end nice and tight until it's fully set. And it kind of looks weird right now, but once it's got a good hold, I don't want to start it too soon, but you can flare these out a little bit and it'll make it look nice and full and nice and lush. And then we're going to pop that right in the center of our flower. And that'll be it for the flowers, and then the rest of it is a cakewalk. And actually I think this whole project's pretty quick. So if you're looking for a cool little housewarming gift, this would be the one, I think. Because it's quick, home sweet home. You know, you can't go wrong with that caption, especially if you know what kind of decor they have, what type of colors they enjoy in their home. You can kind of, adapt it to that so that it's, appropriate, and it'll just fit in, Okay, so I'm going to keep holding this because there's a lot of resistance in this, and it definitely wants to pull apart. If you're having trouble with this, maybe just throw a little bit of hot glue on the bottom of this, and that will also keep it from wanting to separate. And then once it is set, like I said, you can certainly flare these out and, kind of spread all these little stamen pieces out to make it more full. And the ones on the extreme outer edge, you can really flare those out a lot. And then as you work your way in, maybe flare them out a little bit less, just so that it's got a good flow to it. And it's, kind of like that. And that looks nice. And I can tell that I didn't wait long enough for this very edge to take hold because I'm not being patient. So do as I say, not as I do, when it comes to making sure that you're giving this thing enough time to set before you move on here. Okay, so that looks good. And then all that's really left to do then is put a little bit of glue in the center here. You can go a little bit heavier because we may need it to hold that in place. And if this isn't perfectly flat, you may want to add just a little bit of glue onto this as well. Okay, and then we'll take that, pop it right in the center of our flower. And once this really takes hold, I'm going to spread this out a little bit more, I think, because it's definitely still kind of packed pretty tight together. Okay, and then we're going to put this flower onto these little leaves here. So just throw a little bit of glue right there. Take your flower, try to center it as accurately as you can onto that piece, and there you have it. Beautiful. You can even use this on top of a box if you wanted. But that's that. So now it's time to put together the main structure of our little paper sculpture here. And this is pretty simple. So first thing we're going to do is we're actually, oops, oh, I almost broke that. Be careful you don't do that. These little sections of the home, if they're not glued down, you can kind of pull them up, so be careful with that. Now, when you do your cutouts, you're going to get a little piece like this. Okay, I cut it out of this color so you can see it better. Okay, and what these are, they're little guides to help you get everything positioned correctly. Let me find a pencil, or just a brown marker should be fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is So we're going to take this little marker and we're going to put it up to the very corner like that. Okay, and then what you can do, I'd probably use a pencil just so in case you mess up, pardon my head for a second, I want to make sure I got this in the right spot. Okay, and then what I would do is using a pencil or something, just draw a line in that corner. So you have like a little corner indicator there. Okay, because we would do this for you on a machine, but we can't because this is a full 12 by 12 sheet of paper. There's no way we can import a full 12 by 12 file into like Design Space, for example, because it only limits you to 11.4. Okay, so then I'm going to take this and put it in this corner here and do the same thing. Just draw my little indicator. Okay, and I'm usually happy with just 2. Typically you want to do at least 3. You can do all 4 corners if you want, just to make sure you got it all right. Okay, so I'm doing my 3rd one. I'm just going to do 3. I think that's all I need. Okay, so those indicators are where this piece needs to go to ensure that it's nice and centered. Okay, so it may be off by a hair, and that's fine, but that is nice and centered. Okay, so we're going to glue this piece down first. Okay, so let's do that. And I think our main focus here is going to be the perimeter, and I think some of the areas with the letters. Now, this is a really large piece, so you're going to have to act quick and move quickly. Now, if you have spray glue, you can use that. I've used that before on projects like this, on paper sculptures, just because there's a lot of area to cover on a piece like this. And then again, try to get a little bit here into these little loose areas, like on the H specifically, on the word home. I would get a little bit there just to make sure that that doesn't come pulling up. And then grab this piece, and you want to, again, using those little markers, those little guides, get that into place. And try to get it nice and as centered as you can using those guides. Okay, that looks good. And just press that into place. And of course, if for some reason you've got like my H over here, I didn't get enough glue on that, grab a scrap piece of paper, just a tiny little scrap piece of paper, throw a tiny bit of glue, real thin. That's way too much. I'm going to pull some of that off. Onto a scrap piece, tuck it underneath, behind this little loose piece of the H, then move it over where it needs to be and press it down into place. Okay, so that looks good. All right, so this is the back. We got the top layer on there. Mine's not too bad. Okay. All right, so now we've got this next layer here, and we're kind of doubling this up. We're going to glue these 2 pieces together, make it one, and then everything else is going to go on top of this. Okay. And I think we're going to glue, yeah. All right, so again, this is kind of a large piece. So what I'm going to suggest we do is maybe do half of it at a time. I'm not going to try to do this whole thing right now, but I'm going to go here and definitely get the little thin areas there. Sometimes I'm talking faster than I'm thinking, so my words come out a little weird. Okay, so just kind of work efficiently. Don't spaz out, but try to cover as much area as you can. Like I said, I'm going about halfway, because I can always peel that back, and let me move this out of the way so I don't accidentally get glue on it. Okay, kind of just make sure you line it up as accurately as you can. If you have a brayer, it might be helpful to use one at this point. And just get that nice and aligned with the other layer here. Make sure everything is sitting nice and flush. That looks good. Okay, so remember, we got it glued about halfway down. So now we can lift this up, kind of peel it back a little bit, and get the rest of our glue on this guy. definitely this little area here. That looks good. And press that down into place. If you need to give it a little nudge here or there, do so. Okay. All right, so those two layers are now one, pretty much. Okay, and all we're gonna do right now is put our little vines and stuff on here. And then we're gonna actually put the flowers on once everything is kind of all more together. So we're gonna start off with piece number one. Okay, and piece number one, I believe, is, let me see. That is piece number one there. It's got a little tick mark on there. Take a look at your other ones. This is 3, and this is 2. Okay, so piece number one is right here, and piece number one is going to go right here. You see this little nub? It's going to line up with the very tip, the very bottom or base of this guy here, and that's going to get glued right around the inner circle there. Okay, now, yeah. That's right. Okay, and we're not going to put any glue on the actual petals. We're just putting glue on the little stem here. Okay, just gluing the stem down, leaving the petals to roam and just kind of dangle. Okay, so again, line that up with that little nub there. Make sure that it's also nice and flush with the inner circle. And just press that down into place. Just like that. Oops. All right, that's better. Okay, so that's piece number one. All right, now find your number 2. Look for the one with the 2 little marks on it, 2 dashes or 2 lines, like Roman numerals. And just put glue on just the stem all the way down to the very base. Okay, you'll notice that there's a little indicator here for where the bottom of this goes. And that's right, it's going to go like that. And again, keep the inner part of the stem nice and aligned with the inner circle. There we go, just like that. And mine's a little bit higher than where that little indicator is, but that's okay. All right, and now piece number 3 is going to go right here, just like that. So again, all we need to do is apply our glue to the stem and pop that into place. Okay, there's a little nub there, just like before. Pop that in there and then keep it nice and flush with the inner circle. And voila. Okay, so that's all done and in place. Now we're gonna grab this guy here. And now this guy, obviously, you can see that there's a little half circle here, half circle here, half circle here. You can see where all these are gonna go and how they need to line up, okay? So, just like we did before, we can go ahead and we can put glue on this entire circle here, on this entire circle here, and then a little bit up on these stems. Everything else can kind of just dangle and just be free. So line up the little half circles. Okay, so just make sure that the stem portion again is nice and flush with that inner circle. And it looks like here, I do need to put a little bit of glue on this stem here. Just right about up to there. And we'll press that down, making sure that we keep it nice and aligned with that inner circle. Okay, so we've got a nice natural frame going here with some foliage. And at this point, we're gonna go ahead and put this onto this section here. Okay, now you can do this flat if you want. I don't recommend it. I would certainly recommend using some foam squares, which is what we're gonna do. Okay, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. Doesn't look like I am. So, all right, so we can fold this or bring this over on the other side, flip it over, I should say. And we'll get our foam squares out. Where'd they go? There we go. We're gonna start off with some big ones and put those on the large sections here where there's plenty of room for some nice large ones. Okay, and kind of keep them out of sight as far as the inside goes. You can put them out. I wouldn't put them out to the very edge, but close. Okay. And then for these little thin areas, we're going to need to probably take some foam squares and cut them a little bit to make sure that they fit and also that they're hidden so you don't go seeing them. Okay, so this one's going to go here. And I think the rule of thumb for this is technically it's like the more the merrier, because the more you have, the more solid it's going to feel and the less bowing and warping that's going to happen. So don't be, be generous with these so that this thing sits nice and straight up. And then, so what I like to do after I put these on, flip it over, and then I kind of just do like a little push test. And by that I mean, I just go into various areas and I kind of push to see where I'm getting a lot of not resistance, the opposite, a lot of flex. Getting a lot of flex here in this area. So I'm going to add one here, pop it right in the center. I'm probably going to get a lot of flex here. There's a lot of empty room there. Okay, just going around, kind of pushing, seeing where I'm getting a lot of flex. That's pretty good. All right, and then all that's left to do then is kind of put some foam squares right in these little areas here. And what I'm going to do, now these are really tiny foam squares. And what you can do is you take a scissor, you can literally cut them in half, make them real thin, just like that. Okay, and it looks like the backing of this already came off, which is okay. Kind of make it easier actually. And I'll just put them, I'm going to put them out to the outer edge more so than the inner edge so that they're not as visible. And get one in the corner here. I'm trying to hide these so that they're, so people don't see them. They're really sticky. And I'm going to say that probably 3 in each little corner should probably do the trick. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. I'll pop one right there. Grab 2 more. Pop this one in the corner. Like that. And then this one here. And then just 3 more. One right there. One right at the very corner. And then one right there. All right. So, I'd say that's pretty good. What do you guys think? I think that's good. Get rid of that. And now we just have to peel the backings off of our little foam squares. And we'll pop this right into position. I'm going to do the big ones first so I don't lose track of which ones I've done and which ones I haven't done. And then we'll do the tiny ones. Okay. It's going pretty quick. I just had to restart my cameras, which means we were about 30 minutes in, but we're almost done. So I'm going to say that with inking and all that good stuff, probably get this done in about an hour, and it's definitely a one-of-a-kind sort of gift. All right, so this is your top left, top right, bottom left does not have the little cutout. That's how you know that that's the bottom left. Now I'm going to hold this up. Well, you know what? I'm going to stand up so that I don't goof this up, because at this angle, at the angle that I was at, it's a little difficult to make sure that I'm getting it aligned properly. And we just simply want to line up the edges with the existing edges of the piece that's already in place, just like that. And just press that down all the way around. Okay, look at that. All right, and then if we need to, like I said, since we may have kind of flattened some of these things out when we were putting the foam squares on, you can go ahead, go around and just repinch them, fluff them up a little bit. like so. Okay. And then all that's left to do is put our initial little pieces that we put together, the paper piecings, the flowers, and the little, whatchamacallit, the little sweet caption. Now this little flower down, or this little section of leaves down here, I'm gonna throw a little bit of glue right at the very edge of that guy and glue him down so he's not wobbling around. Okay, the sweet caption, this guy here, we are actually going to foam dot this one as well. So let's take our large ones and find places where we can put the large ones, because I like those large ones really do a good job. And then when we run out of space with the large ones, just take some smaller ones if you have smaller ones. Or if all you have is smaller ones, then obviously you got to use those. And that's fine too. There's no wrong way about it. Okay. And let's do our little push test. That's good. It's not really drooping anywhere, so I think I've got enough support on this caption. And then also on this piece that has the home and home cut out, there is a little indicator to help you with the positioning of this caption, just to make sure that you get it in the right spot. Now I have to take a close look here. I can see that there's one there and there's one there. Okay, and it looks like there's one there too, and one there as well. So let me see if I can explain this. Okay, so it looks like that one is going to indicate kind of where that little arrow is, where the S is. And then this one here, all right, so this needs to go up more. It's the beautiful part about using pop dots. Okay, and then that guy here, that's it right there. Bam. I'll lift this little leaf up, put the T behind it, and there we go. Okay, so there we have that. And now all that's left to do is put our little flowers in place. And we're going to use some foam squares for that as well. Maybe not for this guy though, because, well, why not? You know what, why not? Let's do it. Well, unless he's too, yeah, you know what, I'm going to glue this one down flat. And this one is just going to go right here in between kind of the T and the home. That one goes there. And let me lift this up so I can see it better. I'm just looking at my prototype, so I remember where everything goes. All right, so this guy here is going to go right here, and he's going to be, well, see, now this guy's dry, so I'm going to take these little stamens and I'm going to lift them up and fluff them up a little bit to make this little centerpiece look, well, the stamen piece look more full and not so flat. There we go. I'm going to just put a little dot of glue right on this little circle. Okay, and you want the two leaves. There's one up here and then two together. You want the two pointing down, and try to kind of line that circle up with the existing circle. And about there is good. You can use a little dowel to add a little extra pressure there. Okay, and then we've got this guy here. Now this guy has 3 leaves, and we want all 3 pointing down like this, because we have all these leaves here, so we want some more going down that way. And we'll just throw a little bit of glue here. And again, the 3 leaves coming down. Get that situated right onto that little area. And press that into place. And that's about right, just like that. And then finally, you can just go ahead and put some glue on this guy here. And of course, because we already have leaves here, we want these set of leaves to come out this way. Okay, so do your best to kind of line that up. And we need to bring that up a little bit. And there we go. Just hold that in place for a moment. Let that set. And you know what? I'm going to move this over a little bit. Make sure that's kind of in between this flower and this flower. And that's it, guys. That is it. We're definitely going to add, like I said, some rhinestones or some pearls into the centers of the flowers. And then I'll probably, I've got some pearls or something that I'll probably add to this little tan section just to kind of add a little bit of extra something to that. But there's your beautiful paper sculpture. Let's pop it into the frame and see what it looks like when it's all nice and framed up. That's always my favorite part. And actually, I'm going to do it this way because this thing's still drying and I can't wait to show it to you. So I'm going to get gutsy here and just pop it up, even though I should probably wait. Oh, wait, that's not how it works. This piece goes in first, and this piece goes in the back. Okay. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. I'm going to put the back on it. I'm not going to close it up entirely, but get in there. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That is a beautiful, beautiful little piece, whether it be a housewarming gift or even home decor for yourself. I'm keeping this. I can guarantee that. That is going into my kitchen in the off seasons when I don't have my paper sculptures for Christmas or Halloween. There has been a bare spot up there, and this is where that's going. So anyway, I hope you guys love the project as much as I do. If you make this or anything from our new bundle, I'd love to see it, and so would the 18,000 other dreamers that inspire us. So head on over to your Facebook, do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can click on the little link here just below me. And then also, if you enjoyed crafting with me, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. That lets me know that you love hanging out with me and you love our products, and I love watching those numbers grow. So I would definitely appreciate you hitting that subscribe button, and also make sure you hit that little bell so that you get our notifications as well. And a big thank you to everyone that's already subscribed. So anyway, I had fun. I hope you did too, and I look forward to crafting with you again.